Alice Cooper is 77, still touring, still loud, still sharp. He built an empire from fear, but not every scar has healed. I dug through old talks, old clips, old print. The story is bigger than applause. He is 42 years sober. That is rare in rock. He was born in Detroit, February 4th, 1948. He moved to Phoenix as a teen. He later became Alice Cooper, the character. He helped invent heavy metal theater, blood, guillotines, snakes, the works. But behind the paint, pain lingered. Fame saved him. Fame almost killed him. The truth is messy, human, raw. We will trace it all today. Childhood, fame, addiction, recovery, the shadows that remain now. At 77, he still carries weight. Not every wound fades with time. I grew up on his records, but I never knew the cost until I sat with his history. The highs are wild, the lows are chilling, and the heartbreak is real. Not clickbait, real, human. He turned fear into spectacle, but fear left marks. What is your favorite Koopa song? Pick School's Out or I'm 18. Stay with me. We start at home long before the mask. He was a frail kid with asthma, yet he turned every fear into a mask he could control. I picture young Vincent Furnier, small in Detroit, then scorched by that Phoenix sun as a teen, sketching monsters in his head and wondering how to make them obey. In high school, he and his friends formed a joke band called the Earwigs. They did Beatles parodies and school shows. The joke became a dream. The dream became work. By the late 60s, they had a real band, and in 1969, Frank Zappa took a chance and signed them. It was loud, it was odd, it was new. Vincent learned something dangerous and powerful. If he put on the makeup and the black eyes, the nightmares listened. He legally took the name Alice Cooper so the character could live on stage and the man could hide off it. Soon, the shows had horror touches, fake blood, and shock theater tricks. He wasn't just singing, he was building a world. The fragile boy found armor in that spotlight, and that armor was about to conquer the charts next. Cooper went global in the 70s, and the music moved like a freight train. Love It to Death dropped with I'm 18 and gave kids a fight song for growing up. Then School's Out hit in 1972 and blew up, #1 in the United Kingdom and top 10 in the United States. Suddenly, summer had a soundtrack, and Alice owned it. The stage became a full play, gallows, dancers, serpents, macabre humor. He pioneered a theatrical kind of heavy metal performance that felt like a horror movie wrapped in a riff. When the original band faded, he doubled down. Welcome to My Nightmare in 1975 launched his solo run and proved the persona could carry a whole new chapter. You can trace his fingerprints on everyone from metal showmen to modern pop spectacles. And later, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame welcomed him in 2011. It all reads like a storybook rise, but every fairy tale crown has thorns. He ruled the era, and then the excess rolled in, and it cut deep. The price was coming due. All that glitter hit a storm. Offstage, the party swallowed the person. By the late 70s, the drinking was constant and cocaine crept into daily life. After 1976, the records struggled and the headlines turned harsh. The original Alice Cooper band had already ended back in 1973, and the solo spotlight got brighter even as the man inside dimmed. He kept pushing, but the body and the brain were paying a heavy toll. I've talked to musicians who say this is the classic trap. You build a monster to keep you safe, and then the monster wants more. More noise, more shock, more numb. The art was still clever, the humor still wicked, but behind it, he was breaking. Friends worried, family worried. He was famous for survival scenes instead of songs. That is the dark line no artist wants to cross. You are watching Golden American Legends. If this deep dive matters to you, subscribe, like, and share to keep stories like this alive. Because the next turn in Alice's journey was the fight for his life, and it changed everything. At rock bottom, he did something brave. He turned the collapse into a concept album and held it up to the light. From the Inside in 1978 plays like a tour through a sanitarium, each track a character, each lyric a window. It is dark, yes, but it is also honest and oddly tender. You can hear a man trying to tell the truth about what addiction steals and what recovery might give back. When he finally chose help, the stage persona did not disappear, it matured. He would later step onto The Muppet Show in 1980, grinning with monsters that were soft and friendly. The contrast was striking. The darkest decade had given way to a second act. And then, the headline that still stuns me, he has stayed sober for 42 years. In rock, that span is rare air. Sobriety saved him. It gave him breath, focus, and family. But did it heal every wound that built Alice in the first place? Not quite. The rebuild started here, and it kept going. 42 years clean is not a footnote. It is the spine of his second life. He leaned into faith and family, and he traded late nights for early mornings on a golf course. He even jokes that golf became a healthy addiction. The stage stayed fierce, but the chaos behind it did not. That is real craft. He also turned recovery into service. He helped launch a no-alcohol old-fashioned called Sex, Drugs, Rockin' Dry, with every cent going to a worker support charity. The message was clear and loud. You can rock without wrecking yourself. As he put it, rock and roll is an attitude, and you do not have to be drunk or high to be a rocker. That is a rule more artists should try. What moves me most is the steady hope in this era. The marriage that weathered the worst years found new ground. The music kept coming. The shows stayed wild and sharp. Decades clean, he kept building. And now, at 77, here is how that life looks. Age is just a number when the work is real. In early 2025, he kicked off the Too Close for Comfort World Tour on January 31st. That is not a farewell lap. That is a statement. Fans say he still stalks the stage with the same sly grin, still hits the drama beats, still pulls the curtain up on a dark little play you cannot stop watching. Long set lists, tight band, a voice that cuts through arenas. He kept creating in the last decade, guesting on tracks, trading lines with old friends, and reminding everyone that a classic can still surprise you. The industry stamped its approval years ago with a Hall of Fame induction, but the real proof is in the nightly cheers. He walks out, the lights drop, and the legend lives again. On stage, he is unstoppable. Off stage, the questions return. What does it cost to carry a character this long? What memories still ache? The next part pulls back the curtain on the man behind the myth. Sensational titles love the word tragic, but the real Alice is more complex. He has said for years that rock is pure attitude, not a dare to self-destruct. He lives that now. No booze, no powder, full energy. Offstage, people who meet him describe a kind, grounded man who enjoys a laugh, a prayer, a calm afternoon. He and his family give back, and he has been honored in his community for that work. Still, I do not want to tidy this story. Living inside a persona for decades leaves marks. The makeup comes off, and the memories stay. The boy who ran from fear built a fortress of sound. The man who survived it all still has to make peace with the echoes. That is the heartbreak at 77. You can win the war and still feel the scars on quiet nights. So, rumor versus reality. The legend is loud. The human story is louder. Hold both truths as we land this plane. Alice Cooper turned fear into theater and theater into a life. Born in Detroit, shaped in Phoenix, he rose from a sickly kid to the godfather of shock rock. Fame crowned him, then nearly took him. He crashed, looked in the mirror, and wrote from the inside. Then he did the hardest thing a rocker can do. He stayed sober. 42 years and counting. The shows are still wild. The man is still here. And yes, the shadows still follow him, because healing is not a straight line. If you felt this journey, tap like and share it with a friend who loves classic music stories. Thanks for watching Golden American Legends. Subscribe for deep dives that keep our legends alive, and check out more videos on the channel when you are done here. Which matters more to you, the Alice on stage or Vincent, the man behind it? I am Sarah, and I will see you in the next one.